Hi there, welcome to the Sunny Dads Network. This is Sunny Dads Unplugged. We are so excited this time because we are recording at the weekend where we celebrate fathers. Tomorrow is a Father's Day and we are so inundated with requests to speak about our network, our community. And this time I have got my co-Sunny Dad, Victor Nkomo, who's going to share his story with us. Welcome, my friend, and thanks for coming around.
Well, thanks, Tim.
Thanks. Maybe tell us a little bit about, before we go into your parenting journey, and tell us a little bit about who you are, your profession, your background, and the things that you're excited about.
Okay. All right, so my name is Victor Nkomo. I'm an entrepreneur, background investment banking. Then I had to combine investment banking with IT. So currently I'm actually a SEP treasury specialist.
Oh, SEP treasury specialist.
So I implement systems for different corporates.
That's nice.
Nice. I'm also into mining as well.
Oh, mining as well?
Mining as well, yeah. I was born and bred in Zimbabwe, Bulawayo.
Oh, okay, okay,
so
that's good.
That's why I'm doing the mining.
And you've been in the country for what, since you were very young?
After varsity, I think it's over 20 years now.
20 years.
Yeah.
Thanks, my brother. And when I met you, I think we met each other online somehow. I think you bumped onto my podcast,
yes,
or I bumped into yours, and then we said, we are talking and we're doing about the same things, and we're talking about the same things, and we need to find a way. But tell me, before we talk about the family and the kids, you've never been married before, right? Or have you?
No, I've been. I've been. Actually, I would say more like 3 times.
3 times? Okay.
Yeah.
And then you've been stepping out of... But how did you decide that you would like the kids that you've accumulated along the line to be with you?
Yeah, so maybe just to give you a background.
Sure, go ahead.
So at 22, doing my honors degree.
Yeah.
So in my family, I used to be kind of like a joker,
Oh,
so I would go to my mom like, hey, mom, you know what? I want to be pregnant 3 women at the same time.
Serious?
I want 3 kids at the same time. But I was just joking,
Just jokingly, yeah.
But they say you are the prophet of your own life.
Yeah. And what you speak to
before I finished my honors degree, my last year, I had 3 kids.
Exactly like that?
Exactly like that.
From 3 different women?
From different women, but one of them became my wife.
Oh, your wife.
Who's my ex now.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
So you find obviously in the beginning, you're living in a society that has preconceived, especially from the religion, stereotype, like you feel like, you know what, I'm not fit to be part of the society. So there's that condemnation that comes, So you find like the other kids, when it started, I was not in their life,
Okay.
But it came a time where my mom gave me just one word.
Wow.
He said to me, fetch all your kids, and you will never be poor again in your life.
Serious?
So those words got stuck with me.
With you.
And I had to implement exactly that.
So you made sure that
and
they were at a very young age.
Very young age. So I had to make sure that I take the kids and put them under one roof as my mother.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you started with those 3. And then of course you had others.
Yeah. They had others, and now
later on.
Everyone usually asks me this question, but how did you manage to have the custody of all those kids?
Yeah, that's the big question.
Yeah. I've never fought for custody.
Okay.
Right? It has always happened that the kids end up staying with me.
And they just gravitate towards your energy, and the mothers don't fight to take them away?
And sometimes I usually say, I think it's a calling that I have for kids.
I think so.
Sometimes
I told you the other day. I said, it's just in you.
So it's just in me, and it becomes like like a reflex action, like automatic, and
somehow there's a way for them to just get attracted to your energy, the way you're raising them, the way you're building them as young people, because especially girls, because they would have run away already to their moms by now.
What I believe is, obviously there's the stereotype that, kids need both parents in under one roof. But I usually say everyone has a story.
Sure.
And mine, that's my own story. And I don't take anything as a mistake. I think it's just lessons that channel you to where you're supposed to be.
Absolutely.
I usually say, women, obviously 9 months, they're pregnant. And incubating our own children, but they pass the baton to us as fathers.
Yes.
And I think that's what has happened. And you just have to make sure that I've planted the seed, and I need to water the seed. I need to take care of the seed, because the goal is to see this seed becoming fruitful.
Absolutely.
And not fruitful for myself, but fruitful for themselves.
For them, and then for the society.
For the society, because I usually say, the family that you create is more important than the family that you come from.
That you come from.
So it's been a journey.
And now you're saying, when I met you, you were at number 8.
Yeah, exactly.
And now you are at number 9. Tell us about that. So how old is the 9?
So the number 9 is actually 1 year. 1 year old, so that's why you find the brand was 8 more before.
Yes, now it's changed.
Yeah, and the idea was 8 kids, I'm done, but life happened. Life happened.
So how many girls, how many boys in total?
It's actually five boys and 4 girls.
And 4 girls. Oh, that's amazing. And then what inspired you, Victor, to tell your story through media, through digital media, and through a platform like a podcast? I'm sure your story was known to only a circle of friends and family. When did you start to want to put your story out there, and why?
If you look at our society right now, they usually say the most confusing day is Father's Day in South Africa. Because a lot of
doesn't even exist.
Because a lot of kids don't know their fathers.
Oh yeah.
And to me, I think that's tragic. That's a pandemic that we have in South Africa.
Big pandemic.
Not even in South Africa only,
Yeah.
So one thing that I've realized, the reason why most men are not in their kids' life is because of condemnation.
Condemnation.
Every time when I share my story, there are men who come to me and say, hey, dude, I've got 2 kids.
Shucks.
But how do I break it to my wife? So now, because there's that condemnation.
Oh, they've got 2 kids from outside.
From outside, I'll give you an example. I was in Kenya one time, so I was actually training pastors.
Yeah.
And this old man comes to me. He says, your story has touched me.
Yeah.
Because with me, whatever platform that I have, I start with my story.
You share your journey. Yeah.
Because as much as we can read books, we can read the Bible, whatever, but your
storytelling is powerful.
And he comes to me and says, I've got many church branches.
Wow.
Every branch I've got a child, but my wife doesn't know.
Doesn't know.
But he says, today you have given me the confidence to approach my wife and break.
To start breaking with her.
Exactly. I'm like, you can't leave this line. So the reason why I even call my story the uncondemned dad is because when I started to fetch all my children, it was when the condemnation disappeared in my heart.
You took ownership.
Yeah,
and I said, I
need to take responsibility.
Yes.
But you need to have that freedom in your heart.
Wow.
And also to understand that you need to create your own belief system.
Yes.
I usually say what religion has done, it has put us kind of like in a box.
Yeah.
And now anything outside that box, it brings condemnation into you. So when you take that condemnation, then you are going to have the bravery to approach your wife and say, there's a child out there.
Wow.
Because it's a child.
Did you meet resistance as you were beginning to collect them and say, listen, I'd like to take ownership of the custody or to be the primary caregiver? Or was there pushback from the other side, the mother's side?
No, not really. Maybe just one, but eventually, yeah. So all of them, to be honest, there's never been any resistance.
There's always this, Victor, there's always this thing that men, and I'm going to talk about this at the SABC today, that men or fathers do not have the inherent ability to be primary caregivers. Is it a societal thing? Is it a religious thing?
No,
and maybe it's
some of, I usually say most of those things are imaginary, eh?
Really?
Because look, I mean, what I believe is that kids need love.
Yeah.
And love can come packaged as a single dad, can come packaged as a single mother.
In various forms.
It can come packaged as a grandmother. And the child is going to grow.
Yeah.
So to me, I usually say my model when it comes to kids is just to ignite hope on a daily basis.
Ignite hope.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's leadership at the end of the day.
Yes.
Imagine you've got 9 different characters in the house.
Different characters.
Different abilities.
Different experiences, different needs, expectations.
Exactly. And you are carrying their visions. Wow. Right? So each child has to have his own vision. But remember now, you can't give value when there's no value inside you. So it
has to start with you.
Okay. So it becomes a motivation as well to develop yourself.
Yeah.
You know, because remember, kids, they learn more by what they see in you.
I like that. I like that, because as I parent my own kids over many years, I was busy discovering stuff about me that I had never known, and it's just the navigation of a territory that is unknown.
Yeah.
What about you? Have you discovered that otherwise you wouldn't have known?
Hey, it's quite a lot. I mean, I would say maybe the first thing would be more on the entrepreneurship side.
Yes, yes.
You know, because I think there's that relationship being an entrepreneur and many kids.
Oh,
you know,
okay.
You know, and as you sit with each child, there's something in them that is in you. You know, so you start to discover yourself even more. You know, but remember,
as you spend time with them, you discover a piece of you in them.
You know, and then sometimes you start to look back and say, but when I was at this age, I had this character, but maybe I did not develop it proper. But now I've got the opportunity now.
Okay, you pick it up.
Exactly. So
your child.
I usually say to my kids, you know, there's certain path that I've gone, and I've taken wrong turns in the past. But because I've taken the wrong turn, I'm able now to stand on that turn and say, you don't have to take this turn. Because I now know what happens when you take this time.
Yeah. And you guide them. I put down a question here. I mean, I'm gonna go to, because I think it's an important question. It's around the daily routine and management. How do you? What does a typical weekday look like with 9 kids in a household? And you've got a demanding profession, a demanding job. I'm sure you've got relationships as well with your clients. How does a typical day look like with 9 lives in
you know, we used to, especially with the older ones. I usually say there's one thing that changed their lives and changed my life as well. We used to have a fellowship at 5 a.m. every
day.
Morning? Wow. Whether it's winter, if we would stay in, comes to our house, we make sure that he wakes up at 5. So we used to have, even when I'm a visitor, visitors wake up at 5. We've got a Bible study, we've got a fellowship.
That's amazing.
You know, people usually speak about teenagers giving them issues. I've never had that issue.
Because you've got that connection.
Because of that fellowship and meditation that we do. So you find, I'm up,
tradition.
I'm up like at 4 every day, you know, and my kids are up at 5, but then I'm already downstairs.
Wow.
Prepare their cereals.
Yes.
You know, and just being with them in those daily routines, because kids need routine.
They need routine,
And it's just to be part of that journey. In the morning, you affirm how you love them. You wish them well.
You reinforce that message that I'm here for you.
And we do a lot of meditation as well. You know, what I believe is where there's meditation, there's always manifestation. You know, so I've taught them to meditate. You know, so even before they go to school, when we pray, we do their own meditations as well.
Before they leave the house.
You know, and I also do like one-on-ones as well. And you find with the older ones now, because like for example, my other son is at varsity now. So you find we've got a Teams meeting every Tuesday.
Oh, with him online?
No, everyone. So usually,
everyone.
And the whole idea is to catch up. So I usually say it's a catch-up session. You know, so what are you doing? Where are you? Do you need help?
What's preoccupying you? What you're dealing with?
Exactly. And I tell them my own vision as well. Guys, this is what's happening with the mind. This is what I just got a new project.
Wow.
Let's celebrate the new project.
And they connect with the business
with that. Exactly. And you find now there's motivation from their side as well.
Because they could want to be entrepreneurs as well.
True, you know, and even my own kids usually ask me, say, Daddy, but how do you do this?
How do you do it?
You know, and I believe that becomes the greatest lesson to them, you know.
Because they could be navigating a very different future.
True.
Tell me, I want to talk a little bit about the financial health and we've just touched on the emotional and mental health and how you rejuvenate the spirit within the ecosystem. The financial side, do the mothers come in to support financially, emotionally? Do they have visitation schedule? How does that work?
Yeah, okay, not financially.
Okay.
But kids have visitation.
Access
like
to
now,
okay.
they just close schools.
Oh,
you find
so they would
maybe
go
after Father's Day tomorrow.
Yes.
They'll visit their moms.
Oh,
you
that's
know?
amazing.
But
that's
not
amazing.
all of them. But there are some that consistently, maybe we skip 1 week.
But the
weekend.
mothers have got access. You haven't blocked to say you're not allowed to speak to them.
I'm the one who actually pushed them to visit their moms.
Really?
You know, because one thing that I believe is, I mean, these are their mothers.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, parenting the kids is also a function of how you treat their mothers.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So no matter sometimes some can try to be impossible, but I usually say the only tool to fight someone who's like that is to take care of the child.
Yes, to take care of the child.
That's it. That's my role. You know, you mustn't lose sight of that. You know, my greatest goal is to make sure that this child becomes fruitful. This child becomes what God has ordained him to become.
Exactly. And then we are there as parents to nurture that soul until they can fly on their own.
Exactly. And I usually say sometimes I think we need to redefine co-parenting.
Okay.
Because sometimes you might find there's 99% from our side, and there's 1%. But people will still say it's co-parenting.
It's co-parenting.
But to me, that's
but it's never.
Yeah. But the most important thing is, you know what? I usually take this as a company.
Yeah.
So the mothers are stakeholders, right?
Yeah.
And the kids are part of my team.
Yes.
So as a leader, I need to make sure that there's success in all those kids.
Yeah.
I need to make sure that I put a relationship with all the stakeholders.
With all of the stakeholders.
Right?
Yeah.
No matter whether they are not part of us, what I believe is what God has allowed, God has allowed.
Yeah.
You know, if this mother is not doing anything when it comes to parenting, it's fine.
I'd like you to send a message just to the mothers and single mothers out there that are so hesitant, that have taken a position that I carried this soul 9 months in my womb. I've got a better or bigger parenting right to him or her than the father. How do we tell a woman that has taken a position like that to say to them, both parents have got the equal rights to the child? What message would you say to them?
Yeah, you know, I know there's some women out there who has blocked most men to see their kids. But I usually say, that's painful, that's foolishness on the other side. It's unnecessary.
Yeah.
Because I usually say women have their own strength, their own weaknesses.
Yes.
Even with us as well, we've got our own strength and our own weaknesses.
Yes.
But you know, a child needs the mother. You will need the father as well.
Definitely.
You know. So no matter whether he's a Nyawope father, you know, but he's still the father of the child, you know. And there's a program that I'm intending to start where, like, I mean, I want to meet those kind of people and say, you know what, let's sit and talk.
That have basically blocked.
Let's find a common ground and make sure that both of you are part of the child's future. You know, because I can tell you now, I've had kids from friends that come and stay with me.
Yeah.
And it gets to a point where even if the father was never part of his life, but you find the child says, I want to meet my father.
Especially the boy child, because they're looking for identity.
Identity, exactly. Yeah.
And then they'll keep searching.
They'll keep searching. You know.
But if you block, you're creating frustration for the child.
And that's why we've got so many problems in our society. You know.
Because they come from fatherless homes.
Fatherless homes. You know.
And then we were shooting season 2, and I read a stat from this research. Victor was conducted by the University of Stellenbosch, and I read it when we were shooting season 2, and it's shocking. 90% of homeless kids that we see in the streets come from fatherless homes.
Yep.
And then the report also said 84% of juveniles that end up in prisons come from fatherless homes.
True.
Can you see that the societal ills that we see today trace back to how we structured our homes?
No, that's very true. Because remember, everything starts
at home.
At home.
Of course.
You know.
Yes.
And if myself as a parent, emotionally, if I'm not okay, because what I've realized with a lot of mothers, emotionally they're not okay.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. So the reason why they're blocking the father is because they haven't dealt with their own emotions. Okay. So even their parenting is more emotional.
Is emotional.
And that's why you find at the end of the day, you're going to raise an angry child.
Yeah.
You know, and the child becomes a serial killer, you know, because every time you're speaking ill about this guy.
Yeah.
So you find that guy, that boy, when he grows up, when he sees a man, he just becomes angry.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
But for example, on my side,
it's the energy that you're sending out.
Exactly.
And the child, especially at that tender age, absorbs that energy.
Yeah.
And then if you speak ill about the father, rightfully or wrongly, and the child absorbs this energy, and they're going to have to share somehow that energy into society.
Into society. That's very true.
And that's dangerous.
So what I try to do each and every time, always speak good about their mothers.
Yeah.
Or even sometimes the kids will come and say negative things.
But you correct it.
And then you correct it and say, I usually say the biggest thing that we should all have is kindness.
Yes.
You know, it's not a function of what the other person is doing. You know, it's a function of you, you know, offering kindness to that person.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
So always correct that. Don't allow them to be negative.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it eats on them, not even on the other side.
Yeah. I want to look at the people watching that what Victor is saying is so powerful, because we punt this so much on our shows that the how you speak about your co-parent to your kids is got a very, very big bearing on how they carry themselves into society. And I really like what you just said now, because also if you speak good about them, and then that is going to be carrying on, and they will represent that message when they go out to society. Before we close, I want us to talk a little bit about the type of activities that you do that create that bond. Our slogan as Sunday Dads Network is building bonds, breaking stereotypes. Focusing on bonds. Are there specific things that work for you and your team of 9 in terms of whether it's rituals, it's routines, it's especially activities outside of the house? Yeah.
No, look, I mean, the first thing you need to allow your kids to become who they are. Okay. Understand their passion. Okay. You know, I'll give you like an example. One of my sons at grade 10 failed grade 10, and he says, dude, school is not for me. It's not for me. Okay. You know, I just want to get into music. Initially there was that resistance, like, no, you need to finish matric, but I've allowed him, and I've discovered there's so much passion, you know, so let him take that route. You know, and for example, my other girl does dancing. And then get a dancing club for her, you know. And I usually say, you know, when my daughter started dancing, she wasn't even a good dancer. But because of every time you encourage her and say, you know, Sisi, you're going to be the best dancer in the world. You know, and you are planting that energy each and every day, you know. And you start to see, wow, look at her. You know, now she's a great dancer. You know, and taking them out and spending time with them, you know, like I said. And letting them follow their passions. Let them follow their passion as well. You know, because we need to move away, you know, I'm asked when we're still at school, you know, especially from Zim. You find someone, there was this emphasis of 5 O levels. Someone fails maths, he repeats. You find someone is repeated like 10 times. Surely it shows that this guy does not belong to the other side. Does not. You know, so try to channel his energy to where his passion is. To where his passion is, you know. And not everyone is going to go through a channel of school, university, get a job, and then pay the bills and just die. And what it does as well, it creates this communication channel, which is something that I have with my kids. You know, they are able to speak about anything. And they open up to you. I've seen that. I've seen in your show. And they open up, you know. They talk about anything. And they're so playful. You know, like I think I wrote something recently about my daughter come and say, Daddy, my pets are finished. You know, and it's like we're just talking about bread, because this is a normal thing. And it was not taboo. It's not a taboo to discuss about it. So you find we are so free. You know, fine, let's go buy. Let's go. You know, and I've sat down with them and say, you know what, this is what's happening with your body. But what I like about that as well is it makes you research about the body of a woman, and you start to understand, because there's no one. You know. But one thing that I want to mention as well is that you create a model of parenting.
Okay.
Like for example, my kids, they've got an au pair, the one at primary school.
Oh yes,
you know,
au pair.
And the au pair, you don't take them as employees. Take them as part of your family.
Part of your family.
You know, and you find even with them, the way they are going to treat the kids, you know, they are treating them as part of the family.
As part of the family.
Oh. So you create that model where you bring all these different people into picture. And like I said as well, that when you treat their mothers well as well, it's quite easy when like you have traveled and say, please, can you do this for me?
Yes,
you know,
yes.
and yeah. So.
This is amazing. There's one thing that I want us to touch on again. Tomorrow is a Father's Day. You said something powerful at the beginning, that Father's Day has become almost a curse to some kids, because come Father's Day, it is a reminder to them that actually I do not have anyone to look to as a father. Because I always say, if your biological father cannot be found, or has passed, or is on the run, there has to be someone that you can identify as a father figure. What message would you say to those people tomorrow as we celebrate fatherhood and they have no one to look to and to celebrate with? What did you say to them?
Yeah, it's quite a tough one. It's quite a tough one, because what I usually say is, no matter how I can try to be a mother, I cannot be a mother.
Sure.
You know, but I need to identify myself and say, what can I offer to these kids? So you find on the other side, with the kids that don't have fathers as well, you know, obviously there's going to be that void.
Yes.
You know, but the people around, you know, as long as you bring that love, you cover that gap.
Yes.
You know, you find the one gonna fill that void.
Yeah.
You know, but
and you can't play both roles successfully.
No, you can't. But for the mothers, because other mothers, the fathers are there. You know. So this thing that we spoke about, where you are blocking these fathers, we need to take that wall out.
Now that we need to stop.
We need to take them out. Because what I've realized as well, as much as, for example, some of my friends have brought their kids to me, you know, and they'll call me dad, and you know, but it's still, you still realize that something is missing somewhere. You know, I've had a child who was telling me that, you know, for years I've sat down with my mom and say, please tell me who my father is.
Who my father is.
And he says, he doesn't want to tell you.
Jesus Christ.
But what he doesn't realize is that, you know, he's creating a bigger problem.
There's a bigger, because it's going to be resentment.
There's going to be,
and the child is going to wonder why I cannot be introduced to my father.
To my father.
There must be a bigger reason.
True. Yeah.
That's amazing. Tell us now a little bit about your movement, your channel, and your program, what it's about, and then people listening, how do they reach you, and how do they access the channel?
Yeah, so the whole idea, like we're trying to create a reality show, you know, where we just bring our kids, and because I always say, if you meet all my kids, you will never know if I don't tell you that they're from different mothers. You know, the love, the connection that they have. But it's a message to all fathers to say, you know what, you need to stand up and look for your child. Whatever intervention that you can try. You know, but we need to bring that harmony and peace between parents that are no longer together. You know, so that's the whole message, to say, guys out there, throw away this condemnation. It's a condemnation. You know, it's the condemnation that you have. You know, and that's why I usually blame religion at the end of the day, because people, it brings this preconceived idea that if you're outside this box, then it's like you're a monster. You know, but no child is a mistake. I usually say, if I can bring all my 9 kids right now, choose the one who's a mistake. There's no child that's a mistake.
There's no child.
So you need to stand up. You know, you need to stand up. You need to be brave and face that woman and say, this is what happened.
And we have to own. We have to own the responsibility.
I usually make a joke and say, you know what? If you have gone out and make that mistake and have a child while you are married, tell your woman that we are one.
Exactly.
So we have done this together.
We've done this together.
So let's take the responsibility. I usually make it as a joke, you know. But we need to own up and take responsibility, because as men, we are leaders. We are all called to be leaders. But now imagine that child that is sitting out there. Right now it's cold. You don't even know that he's got a blanket. You don't even know what this child has eaten. You know. And what you don't realize that condemnation is eating you each and every day, you know. But when there's that unity where you bring that child, a lot of things change.
A lot of things change.
So we need to build our society, and it starts with fathers.
And it's never too late.
It's never too late. Just to stand up today and say, today I'm taking this decision. I'm going to take my child. Because remember, the mother, wherever she is cursing you left, right, and center. And you don't want that.
And you want to break that cycle.
They want to break that cycle. You know. So with me, I always say, this is my story. I've got 9 beautiful kids.
Wow.
With 7 mothers.
And you embrace it.
And that's my story. I can't change it. That's my story.
And you owning it.
And owning it. So I want to go out there and say, guys, there's a lot of guys that are in the same path. I usually say almost maybe 99% of men, they've got kids out there. That's why when the guy dies, you suddenly find in the funeral, like, there's a child.
And they look alike.
And they look alike, you know. So as Singamaji, that we need to go out. You know,
and Bensile, I want you to look into camera and send a message to those men that are skeptical, that are fearful, that are scared. Tomorrow perhaps it's just the opportunity for them to make that decision to say, I take ownership. I'm going to be in charge of raising my child. I'm going to find my kids. I'm going to try to create that bridge and that bond. What message would you say to them?
You know, I usually say a gift opens someone's heart. Tomorrow is Father's Day. Whether you haven't spoken to that mother of your child for years, send a gift and say, today, as it is Father's Day, I've made a decision to be part of my child's life. And I'm so sorry for all the damages that I've caused on you.
Yes.
You know, and go and sit down with this woman. You know, whatever conversation that you can do, you know,
and uvala
amacala akho umntwana athatha isibongo sakho nabantwana bambonke ngabakwaNkomo akunamntwana one-birth certificate ebhalwe isibongo samama no abakwaNkomo, because you know, at the end of the day, I also believe in ancestry as well. That you know, umkhulu wami might be born in this child. And let me tell you one thing, most of the times the kids that you are not taking care of, that's where the gift goes.
Wow.
You know. So let's go out. Tomorrow is Father's Day. The best gift that you can do is to go, because the ones that are in your house, it's Father's Day every day.
Of course.
But let this Father's Day.
Victor, another thing that I want us to touch on before we close is instances where the father has passed and then the kids are still, of course, around with the female or with the mother. How would you advise kids to find that father figure? Obviously, you can't replace the dad, but the father figure either in society, in family, to play that role as a father.
Okay, so this has been my motto. The kids that are now older, you know, leadership is all about multiplying yourself. Right. So I always say to my older kids, I mean, who are like 23, like, you know what, gents, you need to take care of these kids. You need to take care of your siblings. So you start to plant that seed of leadership in them as well. You know, where like even now, even if I'm not there,
at that age,
they are playing that role. You know, they'll make sure that, okay, this is what Mr. Nkomo does. If we need to have a fellowship, we have to have a fellowship.
Whether he's there or not.
Whether he's there or not. Because at the end of the day, anyone who's aligned to your vision can actually close that gap.
I like this.
So multiply yourself.
It's just transferring your skills to someone else, because when you're not there and tomorrow, God forbid, you're not here and somebody can take the baton forward.
Exactly. And preparing the future as well. Because that speaks to financial as well. To say, how much are you saving into their future? You know, because I mean, these things do happen.
These things happen.
You know, tomorrow is not guaranteed. So you need to prepare for that as well. You know, I remember one time went for a date with my firstborn, and he says, "Daddy, what is your greatest fear?" I'm like, as you know me, I'm not a person of fear, but my fear is always, if I die today, while your siblings are still young, what's going to happen?
What's going to happen?
You know?
Yeah.
So you need to ask yourself that question each and every day and live life as if like that's your last day.
Absolutely.
You know, I usually say to my kids, as much as we can be so serious, but we need to have fun.
We need to have fun.
Yeah, we need to have fun.
Just enjoy the journey.
Just enjoy the journey.
And parenting is not a destination.
No, it's not.
And we are still learning.
No,
I turned the corner as an absent dad, and today my life is different, but I'm still learning. I learn every day, and then we build bonds every day. It's a journey. You know, and we make it fun.
True. It's like cycling. I mean, I see you've got a bike as well. You know, there's going to be uphills.
Of course.
You know, but when you're in an uphill, when there are other cyclists, some are even like pushing you.
Yes.
You know, you need those stakeholders around you
to support you.
But it's going to get you to the downhill as well. You know, but you don't learn much on the downhill.
It's not a flat surface.
Yeah, but you learn more on the uphill. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah.
My friend, happy Father's Day for you tomorrow,
too,
and this weekend is a big thing. Your story is very inspirational, and I'd like you to come back and share and more experiences with us in the future. I appreciate your time.
No, I appreciate that. Thanks for inviting.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers.